Okay, I did the PayPal Wars, the battle with eBay, the media, the mafia, and the rest of planet Earth, and it was written by Eric Jackson. I'm Amelia Prickett. So Eric Jackson, a little bit about him. He previously saw the marketing for PayPal, and then he also was the senior director of marketing and the interim vice president after the acquisition from eBay. And now, after leaving PayPal in 2002, he founded the World Ahead Media, which was just a publishing house with a free market editorial focus, and he served as the chairman and CEO of that. So a little bit about the title. It kind of struck me, Battles with the Mafia. I was hoping that it was going to be some sweet story, and it wasn't at all. The PayPal Mafia, I looked that up, and it was just the early founders and early employees of PayPal. They refer to themselves as the PayPal Mafia, who they've gone on to do other business ventures. And then he also loosely used the word mafia to include any of the fraud organizations that tried to rip off money from the internet from them. So reviews, there was a ton about it, and they were all pretty positive. Keep me up all night reading, An Absorbing Insider Story. The PayPal Wars offers an inspiring story of how dedicated entrepreneurs can both make a profit and advance the cause of liberty. And I said that the PayPal Wars was a great insider story of a small .com struggling to survive during the Silicon Valley creation bubble. So the intended audience, I would say it was anybody with a high school level or above reading level. And it was focused more towards entrepreneurs, but it was still good reading for anybody interested in Silicon Valley startups or small businesses, or just anybody who wanted an insider story of now a huge company. So that's just a chapter overview. In the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about it. So Eric Jackson, during the beginning, he had an econ degree from Stanford, and actually like 90% of the early employees were all from Stanford. And he took a job with Arthur Andersen right out of college, and if anybody of you remember, they were kind of at the forefront of the Enron scandal, but at this time they were still a trusted large company. So Peter Thiel, he was the one who really started it, and it started out as FieldLink, which was just a PDA service, and he wanted to be able to transfer money just from person to person. And it later became Confinity. But anyway, it came with strict requirements, which I mean that by they met on a Sunday afternoon one day, and he said that he would have to leave his job with Arthur Andersen and start PayPal by Friday. And he offered him stock incentives and such. And he really had unknown job duties. He didn't really know what he was going to do. At Arthur Andersen, he was doing accounting and just some econ stuff, but he said that he'd be doing some marketing, which he didn't have any prior knowledge of at all. So it was a super young company. Most people were straight out of Stanford. The average age was only 24. So he said that this made for water fights in the office, and people would stay really late. There's pizza boxes all over, and they actually had a ping pong room, which was where his first office was, and it literally just had a ping pong table in it. And the thought behind that was one of the guys that started it in Stanford, he wrote a review and said that people should be able to have fun in the workforce, and they later said that he had never once set foot in the ping pong room, even though he wrote that. So it became Confinity after FieldLink just because they thought it was more user-friendly, and it was a mix between confidence and infinity. There were tons of competition. After they started up, there was just tons of little .coms that started to try and do basically the same thing. The biggest one they had to worry about was X.com, which was founded by Elon Musk. Their goal was to be an overall financial portal, so they didn't want to just do little payments. They wanted that to be a one-stop place where they could do all of their investments and everything else. So eventually, they merged. The original Confinity employees weren't very happy about that. They actually were in the same office space, like the same building, so all of the employees would run into each other and they didn't really like each other. They decided that it would be the X.com business with a PayPal service, so Confinity would be lost. And they did the $10 referral to grow. And with that came a lot of pain, though. After the merger, they crossed the 1 millionth user mark, and but even though they did this, they were growing really, really fast. They had no real source of revenue. So in the first quarter, they had 1.2 million in revenue, but they had 23.5 million in overall costs. And BillPoint, this was when BillPoint started too, and that was eBay's, just their version of the same thing that PayPal was doing. It was a little bit, I was surprised to see that directions changed so much. The head of the business kept changing. Peter Thiel was forced to resign They don't really know if he was forced or if it was more voluntary, but anyway, he resigned, and so then Elon Musk was the CEO role, so it just switched, and then, surprisingly enough, Elon was forced out, and Peter came back. And actually, Elon Musk almost destroyed the company. As I said, they had tons of competition. Later on, when they started to become successful, they had patent infringements from 2 major companies, and then the Council of the Louisiana Office of Financial Institutions ordered PayPal to quit providing the service for any Louisiana residents until they had the money transfer license. So after the merger, the payment volume increased by 18% to more than 7 million total PayPal transactions each day, or in the money, and then that was over 7.2 million. And the revenues also increased drastically. And they're the first ones who implemented the security measure that a lot of us know. You see it a lot on the internet, and it'll be just kind of a random string of numbers, and you have to enter that in to verify that you're a real person. They're the ones who started that, and they actually got a lot of media attention, and they spoke at an FBI big, huge meeting about that because they're kind of the first ones that pioneered it. So, July 8th of 2002, PayPal finally sold to eBay for $1.5 billion to replace BillPoint, and that was just a huge battle with them. PayPal wasn't very happy about it. Anyway, Meg Whitman actually came to PayPal and talked to them the same day, and she kind of warmed up a lot of the employees. So as for conclusions, I think I was kind of lucky because this was probably one of the least boring books I could have chosen. It read more like just a story instead of kind of a business book. And it wasn't typical, as I said, because of all the young employees, so it was kind of funny. He just added a lot of humor in. And it took a look into creative destruction because there was tons of all the .com startups in competition, and they were all consequently destroyed. So.